After the extensive, intense and robust 3 days of cross-examination of Colonel Brian Padayachee, I want you to ask yourself, was Lieutenant General Khumalo lying at the Madlanga Commission when he said these words?
What we're trying to show here and tell the South Africans is that the whole intention is to stop the investigation of this cartel and the operations of this cartel. And all the efforts that we are seeing as we are presenting this today is that there is a concerted effort of making sure that Khumalo and whoever he works with are frustrated in making this to end in court. And different approaches are being applied.
Dineo Mokwele, a young woman in her 30s, her career being collapsed just because she was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and she became the target for this war, or whatever that you want to call it, between the SAPS, IDAC, crime intelligence.
I do not, with respect, accept your explanation, Colonel. You caused for somebody to be arrested, somebody who, on your own facts, was not complicit in the crime that you describe in the charge sheet. But because of your affidavit and the way the charge sheet is drafted, you caused for her arrest. That's irresponsible in the extreme. That's abuse of power. And it is not enough for you to say noted. No, Colonel, I don't accept that.
This is a classical example of what we call interference. What the IDAC did and how it was exposed at the Madlanga Commission has left me in awe. And the only question that I ask myself is, when is Andy Mutibi going to drop the charges? Because that is the only thing that is remaining of this matter.
So that case could be withdrawn. We certainly hope that a correct decision will be made by the NDPP. We are mindful not to venture into that terrain to actually be seen to be interfering with the decision that is left within the purview of the NDPP, because it's currently being assessed. But certainly I'm sure that out of this, the NDPP, if he still had any doubts as to what he needed to do, I think he's got a cue, he's got a signal.
In this video, I wanted us to talk about what has been going on with the testimony of the IDAC at the Madlanga Commission. The updates regarding the case of Andrea Johnson, because it looks like soon the NPA might issue a warrant of arrest against her. And thirdly, I want to talk about what the NDPP has said, Andy Mutibi, regarding the cases that are belonging to General Khumalo, Madondo, and everybody else that is involved.
Mr. Padayachee has never touched a case docket in his life. It's a person who's an ex-employee of the police. It's an individual who's an ex-crime intelligence member. But he's a head of that investigation against these members of crime intelligence. It is the magistrate that grants this Padayachee right to have access to crime intelligence. If these members want anything at crime intelligence, they must talk to him. So we invite the commissioner to go and check on the record of the appointment of Padayachee in IDAC, his qualifications, and IDAC may will come here and justify why did they choose such a person to become a senior investigator at IDAC that is charged with the responsibility of dealing with serious crime, and yet to bring a person who is retired from the police to become a head of investigation at IDAC with no qualification whatsoever on investigations.
Let us first start with the Judas moment of the day or of the week, the betrayal. Colonel Padayachee came before the Madlanga Commission, started his testimony by telling us about how qualified he is, and more than anything, talking about the fact that he is friends with Lieutenant General Khumalo, and more than anything, he feels for what has happened with Dumisani Khumalo and other officers like Madondo and Likalakala. And that is one of the things that he pointed to be his problems, and even said that whenever he even go to court, he'll tell them that it's going to be all right. You know, he'll try to give them the comfort that they need to show that it's not against them.
So I went to General Khumalo, I greeted him, and I just said to him, I'm part of a team. I went to General Madondo, I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, are you okay? Just be strong. And I greeted General Kalakala. During the court appearances at the magistrates' court, I went to them to greet them. Obviously, a few remands later, the protectors blocked me, and then I decided, let me pull back. So, Commissioner, you can see, and why I'm mentioning that there was no malice on my part. These are colleagues and in some cases close people that I know.
Even spoke about the fact that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi knew about the arrest, knew that these arrests were going to be given effect to. And it seems like Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi distanced himself and said, as long as I'm not involved, people must pay for their crimes. But that's the thing, that was a Judas moment, because throughout his testimony, we're finding out that even those charges against Ms. Dineo Mokwele were trumped up charges that they've created in their minds that do not even exist actually, as Advocate Sesibaloyi put it to him. Looking at the criminality as well as the HR matters, it looks like it was more of an HR matter, which they forced to make a criminal matter, which made these people to be arrested, but they failed to prove whether it was a criminal matter or not. It remains an HR matter. And that is what we heard yesterday when these individuals that are working in this case were exposed, including the head of the IDAC, which was Andrea Johnson.
That seems a typical HR matter that the Public Service Commission would deal with. If you had taken this affidavit to the PSC, and I'm saying just from how you've captured it, that it seems something that falls squarely within the powers of the Public Service Commission. And you took exception yesterday quite strongly to General Mkhwanazi saying you lack the experience to investigate matters. Yeah, rightly so, because you've taken us through your qualifications. But as an experienced investigator, even acting on your superior's decision, Ms. Johnson, maybe Perumal and whoever the committee is, them having made a decision that this is a matter to be investigated, I would expect that you, as an experienced investigator that you would have looked at this affidavit and said, but this is an HR matter.
Now it is very important for us to understand the beginning of this story, why this story began. Why did we find ourselves here? That is because of a Section 27 referral that was given to the IDAC. Remember, IDAC is what we call the creatures of statute. Creatures of statute, meaning that they do not regulate themselves. They can't make their own rules. Whatever that they do is contained in the statute. They have to follow the law, which is a legislation that regulates them. In this moment, we're talking about the NPA Act, because they're a body that was created under the NPA. So what is happening now with the Section 27 referrals, that they work on what is happening in the Section 27 referral, which is very strict. Even though there's a Section 7 that was deleted regarding what are the serious crimes that they can start investigating, even though that section has been deleted, but still, Section 27 referrals are very strict as to what you can prosecute and what you cannot prosecute. And it looks like they did not even follow that prescript. They did as they pleased. They did not even care about what Section 27 is saying.
Yes. And he suspects without substantiating. So my point is, it seems to me that once an allegation has been made to you, the requirements of Section 27 have been met, and surely that cannot be.
No, that cannot be, Chair. That I understand.
So again, I will ask you again, have a look at paragraph 5 and tell me, as you read it, whether you are of the view, the firm view, that the requirements of Section 27 have been met.
Commissioner, when I look at paragraph 5 and 6 and the requirements.
I'm asking you about 5 only. That's the last thing Commissioner Badoy was engaging you on.
When I look at paragraph 5, because of the words used, and looking at the Act, I can say that... Bearing in
mind that there's no substantiation at all. Bearing in mind that there's no substantiation, the suspicion that Mr. Adams is expressing has not been substantiated.
Yes, sir.
Bearing that in mind, are you saying that the requirements of Section 27 have been satisfied?
No, sir. That's my answer.
Because now enters Fadiel Adams. Fadiel Adams, we know, is a member of parliament and a leader of a political party who has a seat in parliament right now. He decided that, you know what, I'm going to go to Langlaagte, I'm going to go to Protea, and I'm going to go to Cape Town and open cases, in total 7 cases. Those were the cases that he opened before he even went to the IDAC. and he was complaining about the slush funds, the fact that secret funds are used, and the corruption that is happening with the IDAC without any proof.
So, Mr. Adams, on the 29th of October in 2024, he went to Cape Town police station and he opened 3 cases. And these cases, I'm going to invite you, should be public record, to even look at what is contained on his complaint. It does not even warrant the registration of a case. There's no elements of crime on his complaint. But nonetheless, he opened the complaint. And the complaint is really about the vetting procedures within crime intelligence, a space that he ought not to play in. So he takes this sensitive information and he goes to the police station and he goes and opens a case at the police station, which therefore means he has access to the records within crime intelligence of the secret information that he should not be in possession of. But he takes that information, he goes to a police station, he opens the case about that. Mr. Adams further claims that there's an abuse of the secret fund account. He does not have an oversight. He doesn't even know the budget allocated because he's not part of that committee. But he claims here that there's an abuse of the secret fund account at crime intelligence, including the procurement of vehicles for a political task team in KwaZulu-Natal. He further claims on his complaint, commissioners, that this political task team is a private entity that provides service to the former Minister of Police, Brigadier. That's what he puts on the documents, on the A1 statement that he deposits at the police station. And the other case that he opens, commissioners, is that he raises concern or is challenging the appointment of one Miss Mokwele, who was appointed as a technical support service at the Crime Intelligence Division.
But that's the trick about this whole situation. When he made these, before he went to the IDAC, there was experts like Jacobs that came forward and said, there is nothing here. There is nothing to investigate as the SAPS. And we heard that from Lieutenant General Lamkwanas, who presented that evidence at the Madlanga Commission, that there was nothing from the complaints of Fadiel Adams. Literally, Fadiel Adams was making allegations. And Section 27 is very specific, of which we're going to get to the reasonable suspicion test, which was failed, but still Padayachee and the crew, they did not care. They said, well, we're still going to continue with the prosecution.
This Gerard Jacobs and the team, upon receiving this complaint, they acted upon by trying to reach out to the complainant, Mr. Adams. They were not successful in trying to get him to come and elaborate on this complaint. And they read through the complaints and the dockets that he has registered at the 2 different provinces. They could not find anything that justified his complaint to say there was an interference with the investigation. And as a result, in their conclusion, Gerald Jacobs, which is summarized in the report that is sent to the National Commissioner, of which the National Commissioner responded to the Minister, was that the complaint of Mr. Adams was premature and the police should be allowed to first investigate this matter. And upon the investigation, and maybe the further analysis can be done whether there is any interference or not. But the biggest problem on this is the fact that the complainant himself does not avail himself when he's contacted by the people who are now investigating his complaint. He does not avail himself to be engaged in order to form the basis of his complaint in this matter.
So that's what happened. Then the SAPS obviously did not continue with the matters because the experts came and said there was nothing there. And then Adam said, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go to Mkhunu, Nkabinde, and I'm going to go to my IDAC. Because we know what Mkhunu has done. We know the side that Mkhunu has taken. Even though ad hoc does not care what Mkhulu has done, but we as the public, we got to be sensitized and exposed to the capabilities of Mkhulu and the fact that Mkhulu is just one person that is, but like he just goes with the wind. When the wind goes there, he goes. When the wind goes, that's how Mkhulu operates. He's a loose person, allegedly. Oh, maybe it's just my analysis. It's just he's a loose cannon. Everybody can just play with Mkhulu. The fact that even with the disbandment, they just came to him and he agreed. Looks like what is happening with the situation. Kabinde, I don't know if Kabinde influenced Mkhulu or Mkhulu influenced Kabinde, but somehow they got involved in these cases. Somehow those cases were sent to IDAC.
This complaint, upon landing at the minister's office, first he sends an email to the minister, and after that follows another emails to the chief of staff of the minister of police and other people that he copied the emails to. But the first one was directly to the minister of police. Subsequent to that, the minister's office directed this complaint to the office of the National Commission. This is a complaint that comes on the 1st of November. The National Commission directs the Minister's Office directs this to the National Commissioner's Office, and they request the National Commissioner to respond by the latest, the 4th, which is 3 days later. They must give a response into these allegations of Mr. Adams. The National Commissioner's Office acted on that complaint by directing a division in the police that is responsible for dealing with complaints, which is a division inspectorate. The report from the divisional commissioner, Lieutenant General Jacobs, is attached and marked MK15 in this regard.
And IDAC, they know that statutes, they are creatures of statute, but they did not care as an institution, even though there is what we call a reasonable suspicion test. The reasonable suspicion test is very strict, that there needs to be a reasonable suspicion. We're not saying it should be a definite, but there should be a reasonable suspicion. And the things that Mr. Adams was raising were just allegations. That were not, there was nothing that could make you to have a reasonable suspicion. There was not even a pinch of proof that Mr. Adams had. And when he saw that these cases of slush funds and everything, there's more that he has to prove, they then thought the appointment of Ms. Mokwele would be the easy target. Because remember, imagine an attorney becoming a brigadier. In a reasonable person's mind, a layman's mind, like me and you might think, no ways, how come? Imagine an engineer becoming a judge. Someone that just came out of varsity becoming a judge. I think I was going to be those people that are going to be like, yeah, how come? And I think that's what happened with the Fadiels. Without using rationality, reasons in mind, they failed to use all of that. They just moved with just a general understanding that no ways. You see, this one, we got them. Yes, we got them. That's how I think they even acted. Can't they wear? They were not even close to. Actually, they were embarrassing themselves and they were embarrassing the IDAC and proving the fact that the IDAC is a rogue unit. I'm sorry, Beats. I'm sorry, Dineo, for what you've went through.
We're not at 71A, we are at 71. 71A doesn't speak to a specified offense. It has nothing to do with a specified offense. 27 is triggered when there's a specified offense. That's what 27 says.
Yes.
Now, the provision that used to list or to explain what is a specified offense is no longer there. And you say now to the chairperson, yes, the jurisdictional fact is present. I was satisfied, I'm still satisfied that it's present. And I say to you, well, it has to be a specified offense. Show us what is the specified offense with reference to both what is alleged in the affidavit, but two, with reference to the act that gives you jurisdiction to investigate this matter.
Yes. Commissioner, I'm going to answer it in this way. When you look at the statutory offenses and where I come across corruption, right? With the appointment, manipulation of the process, all of that, the fraud, corruption. Let's put the fraud aside. Let's look at the corruption.
That's besides the point. But the funny part about the Section 27 referral is that Mr. Padayachee is distancing himself from everything. He does not want to take accountability to say that I played a role. I know the charge is there, because he realized that there was no reasonable suspicion, meaning the requirements of Section 27s were actually not fulfilled. So when he realized that, he then started pushing the blame to the IDAC leader, specifically Andrea Johnson, to say those are the people who decide if anything falls under the Section 27 referral. You know, what he does is to investigate and arrest. And even Madlanga said that there's no way that when you didn't see that Section 27 referral. But he kept on referring to the fact that it's not me, making it seem like Andrea Johnson is the one that actually satisfied herself that this is a Section 27 referral, despite the fact that the Section 27 requirements were not met. But that's the thing, guys, about this whole situation, that they went for this Mokwele situation and they're like, you know what, this one is the perfect one for us. Let us get to it. But that still does not fall under the preview of the Section 27 referral. And even when you look at the complaints from Mr. Fadiel, which was heavily scrutinized on day 1, day 2, there is nothing there that shows that they've met the standard. There's nothing that shows that they've met the standard. And you know what they then did? After they took this case, they're like, you know what, we want to prosecute on this case. Perfect one. We got them. We got the head of crime intelligence. And more than anything, I think what makes them mad is the circumstances of the hiring of Dineo Mokwele, of which we're going to get to. But let us now go to the dockets. They then go and take the dockets. They take the dockets and they go and not even request the National Police Commissioner. They go to Sintumule, who agrees. They take the dockets and then they move on with everything.
General Jacob's office, after receiving this docket as part of the investigation, they were approached by IDAC requesting that they hand over those case dockets of Gauteng in the main, and General Jacobs refused to hand over the dockets. And they then, IDAC wrote to a head of crime detection in the police, it is Lieutenant General Sentumul. They wrote to her requesting the dockets. And she then contacted General Jacobs and asked General Jacobs to release the dockets to IDAC. Now, IDAC is led by an individual, and it is an entity of the NPA as a prosecution. The inspectorate, the detective services is led by individuals, which is part of the South African Police Service as a department, which is led by the National Commission. But the correspondence from the NPA to the police does not include the people in charge of the two entities. It includes the head of IDAC and the head of investigation. So the correspondence between the two and the authority is granted by the police detectives and instructing inspectorate to release the docket, and then dockets were then taken by IDAC. To date, those dockets are sitting with IDAC.
So now the question that remains is, okay, they've got everything. How now do they formulate these charges? Let us now talk about Mr. Dineo Mokwele. They wanted someone that is qualified in mechatronics. Is it mechatronics? Yes, I'm right, guys. I think it's mechatronics. They wanted someone qualified in that, which is electrical engineering and civil engineering. And they wanted all, I think they said electrical engineering and mechanical engineering.
The advertised requirements for the position.
We were looking for the head of our technical support services. Without detailing it that much, so as we don't expose our covert methodologies, but it's a person, firstly, who's qualified in mechatronics, a person who can combine both mechanical engineering and electronical engineering to suit our covert activities needs. So those people are normally found then in these environments like BMW or Ford, because they are doing both electronical and mechanical engineering.
So they wanted someone who's good with both of these, who specializes in that. And Dineo Mokwele was working at the BM and had that, and then applied for the job. The job was not a job for internal people only, meaning people even outside the SAPS can apply, meaning people that are not even SAPS officials can apply for that particular post. She then applied, got the job, and then Mokwele later on arrested. Then there's circumstances that were heavily spoken about at the Madlanga Commission yesterday that are the reason why these people actually took this action. And number one is the fact that we are dealing with a young lady. And that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. But before we can go to this one, these requirements, note who are the people that are at the center of this. The people at the center of these guys is Mr. Padayachee. It's Andrea Johnson. It's Paul O'Sullivan. Those are some of the people whose names have came forward regarding this case of Dineo Mokwele. And it's not me. If you guys remember Shong, he said this at the Madlanga Commission.
Uma ubheka the so-called Indian cabal. Angiyaxolisa if ngizoba a bit racist. I hope I'm not sounding racist in part. The Indian cabal is then a subject ekhulunywa ngayo ukuthi iyona egcwele ku IDAC. Now, I notice that there's a certain relationship when I connect dots between Johnson, Padayachee, Khan. I also put in Paul O'Sullivan there. Brian, is it McKnight? Not mine. Brian, sorry, please remind me.
I'm not sure who you're referring
to. The commissioner that had an accident when he was drunk.
You are giving a terrible example, but I think you're probably talking about Mr. McBride.
So those people, ngicela ukusebenzisa isimageba mhlonishwa isilungu sibuye singidelay ngoba kumele ngisicabange before ngizosikhuluma, but I'll mix around. So ngaleso sikhathi leso when you check those people abaku IDAC, to me it gave me ukuthi it's a situation where for you to work at IDAC I have to have something on you so that you'll perform my duties.
Those are the people that actually had a problem with Dineo Mokwele. Remember Paul O'Sullivan, when we talk about the fact that we are dealing with a young lady. Let me even be specific, a young black lady. He did not even speak about her qualifications or anything that she's done wrong. He specifically both spoke about the fact that she's a young black lady. Let me play that clip of Paul O'Sullivan saying that.
Intelligence Division at the rank of Brigadier, when there are people there that have been serving for 30 or 35 years who haven't even achieved the rank of Brigadier, and they must now report to this young lady who knows nothing about policing.
That is the first problem. The second problem is the fact that she's going to commit a crime in the future that they don't know. She's going to capture crime intelligence as per their words. That is one of the things that they're saying they have a problem with that made them to come with these charges.
That's what I'm saying is that what she was going to do is not going to be done immediately, but what you're supposed to give back was not going to be immediately, but can be given at a later stage because of the position that she was appointed in.
Then they speak about the manipulation of the processes and the issue of gratification. Because the issue of the fact that she might capture crime intelligence later and the issue of gratification goes together. And the fact that this process was manipulated.
Act was she to perform, to your understanding?
When we're dealing with the investigation as a whole and we look at what is there, it was the capture of crime intelligence and we were still busy with the investigations on the other aspects with it.
So I apologize to interject. I want us to take it a step at a time. The act that you suspected she would in time commit is the capture of crime intelligence.
Yes.
So they believe that there's some relations between Mokwele and Khumalo. Therefore, she was hired because of the fact that she has relations with these people. They know her and they want to use her later as a proxy to do what we call the capture of crime intelligence. Another thing that is the ground that made them to rise to this issue of end up arresting Miss Mokwele and the rest. They looked at the fact that there is an issue of the requirements for them to actually have this post, the post requirements. And I think even Advocate Sesibalo had a problem with that ingenapi IDAC. How does IDAC enter in the SAPS matters, in the SAPS HR matters, on how they decide are the requirements for the position that they are currently trying to fill? So the fact that they had a problem with that was very, very problematic with that situation.
No, it may look abnormal. We are back to that question. What is IDAC's business and mandate to want to prescribe an advert to SAPS? Because that's what you're doing with what you've just said now. You say, well, this looks abnormal. It should not have included policing, public administration management law. It should not, criminology. It should not have included any of those. The question is, but what in your mandate authorizes you to make that kind of pronouncement and flag it as a problem?
The more you explain yourself, Colonel, the more all of this sounds like meddling in an HR matter. Please respond to Commissioner Baloyi.
And meddling in an HR matter of another institution over which you have no statutory authority to comment on. You have no authority to comment on SAPS's advert for this position. You don't. It's not your place to say, yes, they should not have included management and law and public administration. It's not your place to say they should not have advertised outside. So you should not be sitting there. You should never be saying, oh, it's an abnormality.
How can you be involved in SAPS prescripts when you are IDAC? And why are you doing that even without authority? Why are you getting the authority to say, no, these requirements are like this and this? We had a problem with the actual advertisements and the requirements that are contained in that particular advertisement. And what makes the matters worse is the fact that these people had a problem even with the panel itself. The fact that General Khumalo had the authority to choose his panel and did not choose General Khan. And that is the beginning of the problem.
Why did you not pick any other name of the provincial heads? Khan was not or is not the only general in crime intelligence who is a provincial head, if he is a provincial head, but it's not just him. So why did you not mention any other name? And I'll say to you before you answer that the impression you have created with specifying him is that this may well have been about his exclusion. You were punting for him. Taking issue in 12.5 is in fact about the exclusion of General Khan in particular from the panel, from the interviewing panel. That's the impression this paragraph creates, because you cover it by mentioning that there were other 6 major generals that could have been chosen within crime intelligence, but curiously, it's General Khan that you mentioned. And what we know about him is he was in the previous panel, of the previous panel that did not succeed in filling this post. We know he was there. Yes. Now he's not in, and you take issue and you give him as an example.
Because they wanted Khan to be there in that particular panel. And they then feel as if, or they want to use the argument that the reason why Khan is not there, because they wanted to push these ulterior motives that they have. Forgetting that Khan was not there because Khumalo had a choice. And it has nothing to do with the IDAC. There's nothing in the IDAC that says that if the SAPS hires someone and the panel constitutes of certain people without Fani Masemola, the fact that Fani Masemola is not there as the National Police Commissioner, therefore, people should be arrested. Now, some of the things that are basis to show that the IDAC was just acting, there's just a lot of unlawful things that they used as their basis for them to end up charging Dineo Mokwele, Dumisani Khumalo, Lekalakala, Madondo, and everybody else that was charged in this particular case of Dineo Mokwele. She was qualified. It has been proven that this job, she deserved it. But the IDAC just found things and formulated things in their head and made them look true just so that they can effect an arrest. Another thing that is making the things worse is that this panel, Khumalo did not just choose it and said, yeah, I have the authority, this is my panel, that's it. Sibia approved. Nkua approved. All these individuals did not have a problem. But it just so happened that now the person who's taking the fall is Khumalo, as if he's the one who formulated the panel without involving anybody that is of senior to him. And those people actually approved, meaning they did not see the need for Khan because there's no proof that there was an inquiry as to why is Khan not there, meaning there was nothing wrong with Khan not being there. But IDAC used that to invoke charges against these individuals, including an innocent innocent lady in her late 20s. Imagine.
Now, my first question is, he says, I have viewed the file regarding Mokwele's appointment. Did you provide him with that? Did you provide General Khan with the file regarding Mokwele's appointment?
During the course of the interview, I had the file in front of me.
So that's the one he viewed?
Yes.
So you did provide? So you provided him with that file?
No, he was not provided the file. It was during the course of the interview.
No, Colonel. No, come on.
Colonel, for him to view the file, you must give it to him. If you are interviewing him and it's with you, he can't view it. So you must have given it to him to view it for him to form that view in that paragraph.
Yes, sir, during the course of the interview.
Now, I wanted us to quickly talk about the last things that were discussed at the commission, which is the issue of the vetting, as well as the charge sheet and the bail conditions. Number one, Ms. Mokwele had an approved clearance. But the issue of the vetting was also included in the charges, that she was not vetted. This is a lady that was supposed to be hired, and then after 6 months, then if after 6 months there was no vetting, then they could have said she was not vetted. They didn't even wait for all of that. They literally ruined that lady's life before it even began at Crime Intelligence.
Because she did not get a vetting cleared. Okay. And in fact, we know that she was, having been recommended, she had 6 months to get through the vetting process.
Yes.
So her appointment was conditional, amongst others,
yes,
on her being cleared, but for that she had 6 months.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. I will...
And then she was charged before that 6 months even expired.
Chair.
She was arrested before that 6 months even expired.
That's correct, Chair.
What makes it worse is that now there were charge sheets. With everything that I've said, it looks like Padayachee decided that, you know what, I'm going to do the charge sheet, attach the charge sheet, and the NPA will do exactly what I say in terms of those charge sheets.
Chair,
Remember earlier you sought to distance yourself from the draft charge sheet by saying, I'm only responsible for my affidavit. I'm not responsible for the draft charge sheet. That is done by the Director of Public Prosecutions. Now this letter says the opposite. This letter says, the Director of Public Prosecutions received a consultation note with the correspondence dated 24 June 2025. Attached to that was a draft charge sheet. And what the Director does is they concur with your decision, being IDAC's decision, to charge the suspects.
Is it? Correct?
Yes.
That's in the document.
Yes.
And they did exactly that, and they charged them in terms of that, the charge sheets that he drafted and followed exactly that prescript. What is making things worse is the bail conditions. He also drafted these very bail conditions in Padayachee. He also drafted these bail conditions that are stopping and barring these people from doing their work at Crime Intelligence.
And perhaps you don't know the facts, I don't know. But I'm trying to understand, how does your name make it into a bail condition that wasn't even requested by the prosecution? Can you shed some light?
A condition that's so stringent that its effect is to suspend the accused. Because what it meant is that they could not go to work. So effectively, it suspended them when SAPS itself had not suspended them. No, but answer the question. I'm just adding to the nature of how stringent it was.
Thank you, Chair. As I indicated, that I spoke to the prosecutor before I left, but during the early deliberations in the court, whilst we're deliberating with bail or whatever, I'm not sure whether anything came up during the deliberations before the bail conditions of not going to the office, etc.
And that they should go through him, whatever that they want, they should go through him to get things done in crime intelligence. The very person who's fighting for Khan, they literally wanted Khan to take charge of crime intelligence indirectly so. That's what they wanted. They wanted to lock Khumalo up so that Khan can take charge of crime intelligence, because if Khan takes charge of crime intelligence, the very Khan who there's serious allegations against of him working with the cartel, of being in cahoots with the cartel will walk free. Because you guys remember the timeline. It's after the hirings of people like Mokwele and everybody else where the PKTT started raiding the houses of Katiso Molefe and Busumu Ziket Matlala, destabilizing these people of the cartel, doing serious operations to deal with organized crime, where we start seeing the arrest of Khumalo.
It's information I get through my sources within IDAC that there is activities that are happening with IDAC that are not in line with what the purpose of the formation of the entity is. And that there are two structures within IDAC. There's a good structure that deals with the Zondo Commission, and there's another structure that is malicious, that is used as a weapon to further disrupt the criminal justice system operations. So I get that through my sources within IDAC. That's on one. That's how I was able to get this letter. It's not a letter that was given to me on request from the Chief of Staff. No, I got it through the sources. And the Chief of Staff cannot deny it, or the Minister cannot deny it, because got his signature is a legitimate letter. IDAC has that because they call for the docket informed by this letter, so they can't deny the letter. It's a picture that we started picking up. That is on one side through the information. But secondly, Commissioner, when we see the disruption of the investigation of the Gauteng counterintelligence operations, we then begin to ask ourselves why this is happening. What is much talked about in the media that is not known is the arrest of General Khumalo. So we have this arrest. When this arrest happens, it literally means this project must stop. This investigation of this organized crime must stop immediately because the people are arrested.
As Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi did say that it looks like there was a certain agenda to destabilize crime intelligence, destabilize Khumalo, and more than anything, to destabilize the plans that are trying to dismantle this thing called the Big Five and the cartels that are running our country and are capturing our state.
So with all those, the common denominator of information is there is a coordinated effort of destabilizing the GCI ops by then opening these fake cases against the team management and members as part of retaliation.
That is what is going on, because that's the conclusion that we can all get to at this moment. With everything that you've heard throughout the week, in the last 3 days, the question that you should be asking yourself, why are the charges not withdrawn? Because clearly these are trumped up charges. There's nothing here. Everything has been proven to be a lie. Everything has been proven to have been orchestrated. That lady deserved that position. That lady deserved that position, and the panel did nothing wrong. They just wanted to charge them very quickly, and that was the thing, because that one of slash funds failed. They wanted something to charge them on, and they apparently succeeded because they were able to arrest these individuals. Why are the charges not withdrawn? That's the question that we should all have at this moment. And Motibi had a lot to say regarding the charges right now that we're faced by Madondo and Khumalo, and said that he's going to stay the warrant of arrest. We know, I did speak about that in one of my videos. He's going to stay that warrant of arrest so that they can review everything, because currently they have to review what is going on. And I love the fact that he said cases, if you guys can listen to him.
And now they're still valid in terms of the law. Because if you read the Criminal Procedure Act, the warrant remains valid until it's cancelled by the person who issued it, in this case the magistrate, or the person of equal authority, could be another magistrate. So the warrants have not been cancelled as we speak. And really listened to the public outcry and also the complaints that came through from the legal representatives of General Khumalo. Now I then took a decision that I would need to review the cases on hand. So the cases at the moment are a subject of review. They will be reviewed by a team of prosecutors, independent of IDAC, and once the review is done, a decision will be made. Until the review is completed, the warrants will remain on hold.
Cases, meaning even this case might be reviewed. We're faced with a serious problem. And I hope the INPA is going to distance themselves from what we have seen here. An HR matter that has been made a criminal matter. Oh, what a shame. IDAC, you should be ashamed of yourself. We as black people, guys, we work hard to get to where we are. We work hard to get these degrees. We work hard to get these jobs. It's not easy for a black person, a black woman. It's even harder, 10 times harder. And imagine, Indian cabal trying to destroy you, using you as a proxy to destroy crime intelligence. And certain people, they are targeting those people, but they can't face them directly. They face them side. Takes us back to what Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi said. Sometimes you have to face your target directly. And I think that's what he was meaning when he said that. Because that's what the IDAC are doing. Abamqonda uKhumalo. Bamlanda ngamaside. And I'm happy that's what is going on there with the NPA. Then the last aspect I want to talk to is the issue of Andrea Johnson. It looks like the public interest essay has said that the NPA is currently dealing with this matter, that they've made the complaint regarding her fit and proper to hold office and the case of her husband. And the NPA is currently dealing with that case, and it looks like soon they might issue a warrant of arrest against Andrea Johnson. In relation to those, we haven't touched the Madlanga Commission testimonies. She has real problems, that lady. And then she wants to come act like she's a victim in everything. You are not a victim, Andrea. And you know that you've been at the forefront, allowing people like Padayachee, Sunel, and everybody else to take advantage of black people in crime intelligence, trying to remove them. And that is not fair. And I don't think Mama Winnie would have been happy with that type of behavior coming from you.
You've laid a complaint against the IDAC Head Andrea Johnson, one of which you stating in your argument that she's unfit to hold office, but also the appointment of Junaid Johnson, her husband as well. Just how far is that complaint?
Well, we are confident that that matter has been handled very pretty well. The investigating officer did also reach out to me during the course of the day today, give me a status. I must say we are very satisfied with the investigation that's been conducted by the TPCI, and we believe that a right and correct decision would be made by the NPA, because the matter is now in the hands of the NPA for a prosecutorial decision.
Lastly, I want to say, use the words that were used by one of the advocates. I think it was Advocate Ceci Baloyi. She said, you used an affidavit based on conjuncture and promotions to secure a warrant of arrest. And based on that, I'm left with one thing to say. And that is, number one, the power now is with the NPA. We can scream and even be babble on social media. But the NPA has the power to decide if whether these charges are worth continuing with, especially after what they've heard at the Madlanga Commission. Secondly, I think Padayachee has to be charged for what he did there with Mr. Dineo Mokwele. Thirdly, I know that other people are saying Dineo Mokwele can sue or should sue. If she can sue, of which that relief is something that is there for her, that she can use. But we are tired. And I don't know if we need the IDAC to be restructured, to change and remove these people that have captured it, the rogue unit, or we just need a different institution. That is not IDAC. That is not linked to NPA. A different institution that would investigate high levels of corruption that is not linked to the NPA. I don't know what should be, if we need institutional reform or what, but it's bad and sad. Nonetheless, guys, let me hear what you think about everything that has happened at the Madlanga Commission. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Otherwise, guys, I'll see you on my next upload. Bye.